Welcome. I am Trustee Stephen Begg of the Ottawa Public Library Board. I'm delighted to be introducing this evening's program. First, it's important to acknowledge that the land where most of us are gathering this evening is the traditional unceded territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe people. Today's event is part of the Ottawa Public Library's ongoing series of celebrations for International Women's Day. We are delighted to be partnering with the Ottawa International Writers Festival on our second author event this month to feature remarkable female writers. Also this year, in honor of International Women's Day, the library is highlighting the outstanding achievements of several amazing women who have emerged during this pandemic as sheroes. Please see the OPL website for details about the library's Sheroes panel on March 24th. You'll also find information on an exciting YA author event with Writers Fest happening tomorrow, also in the spirit of International Women's Day. This evening, we are pleased to welcome Eden Robinson, who will discuss her recent book, Return of the Trickster, part of the brilliant and captivating Trickster trilogy. I find Eden's writing powerful and inspiring, and we hope this evening's conversation will inspire you. Return of the Trickster is available at OPL, and it is my pleasure to hand it over to Sean Wilson, the Artistic Director of the Ottawa International Writers Festival. Thank you, and I hope you enjoy the evening.
Thank you, Stephen. Good evening. I'm also on the unceded and unsurrendered territory of the Algonquin Anishinaabe, and I'm thrilled to welcome you all to the Writers Festival's 2021 virtual season. My name is, unable to start video. Well, I'm not on video, but I'm here. My name is Sean. On behalf of the festival and the Ottawa Public Library, it gives me great pleasure to welcome you all to tonight's event, which features two of my favorite authors, Karen McBride and Eden Robinson. As always, I want to thank you for supporting authors and booksellers through these difficult times. Our official bookseller is Perfect Books on Elgin Street, and I know that wherever you are right now, there's an independent bookseller nearby who would be more than happy to sell you some great books. Our spring season continues into June, and it's all available online at writersfestival.org. So all you need to do to connect with some of the world's most acclaimed authors is click play. If you enjoy this event, and I know you will, or any of our virtual programming, please consider making a charitable donation. Your financial support will allow us to continue to bring you the world's most interesting authors and thinkers. Now let's turn it over to our host, Karen McBride. Karen is an Algonquin Anishinaabe writer from Timiskaming First Nation in this territory that some call Quebec. She's an elementary school teacher, the author of Crow Winter, an absolute gem of a novel, one of the best reads of last year, in my not so humble opinion. And if you've not read it, you are missing out. And if you're a fan of the Trickster books, I'm guessing Crow Winter will be right up your alley. Let's give a warm virtual welcome to our host, Karen McBride.
Hello, okay. Thank you for that beautiful introduction. I'm glad you couldn't see my dorky little face during that time because I was like making all kinds of happy noises and faces because that was so beautiful. So thank you, Sean. It's amazing to be a part of this wonderful festival. It's one of my favorites. Out of all of them, I mean, I had some of the best times with the Ottawa Writers Festival, and that's no different, I'm sure, tonight, where we get to sit down and chat with the incomparable Eden Robinson. And if you don't know her, where have you been? Because she is amazing, such a talented writer and such a great human. I'll just read you her bio quickly. Eden Robinson is the author of a collection of novels written when she was a goth called Traplines, which won the Winifred Holtby Prize in the UK. Her next novels, Monkey Beach and Blood Sports, were written before she discovered she was gluten intolerant and tend to be quite grim. The latter being especially gruesome because halfway through writing it, Robinson gave up a 2-pack-a-day cigarette habit, and the more she suffered, the more her characters suffered. Even so, Monkey Beach won the S.L. Wilson Fiction Prize and was a finalist for the Giller Prize and the Governor General's Award for Fiction. By the time Eden began her Trickster trilogy, however, she had given full rein to her matriarchal tendencies. The first book, Son of a Trickster, became a finalist for the Scotiabank Giller Prize and Canada Reads. Trickster Drift, the second book in the trilogy, won the Ethel Wilson Fiction Prize. In 2017, Eden was awarded the Writers' Trust Fellowship. She lives in Kitimat Village in BC. And Return of the Trickster, which we get to talk about tonight, is her most recent novel. So if you could join me in virtually welcoming the wonderful Eden Robinson.
As I said before, it's lovely to meet you.
I know, it's so great to meet you.
Oh, when I was reading Crow Winter, like the moment where the dad starts singing Starman, yeah, I just burst into tears and had to put the book down for a few months. It was so beautiful and heartbreaking. Oh my goodness.
Oh, thank you for that. When I actually wrote that, that was a additional scene. And I remember I was talking to Ganya Theo Horn, who did the audible version of my book and Return of the Trickster. So she's great. And she's ended up having to sing that part. And I remember I was texting her and I was like, I'm really sorry, but you're gonna have to sing. She was like, yep, we did, we had to do it. Oh man. So I'm sure she's probably pretty happy she didn't have to sing too much for yours. So.
Well, she was texting me about some of the Heisler pronunciations, and then she came to Cthulhu. She was wondering what kind of Heisler character that was. I'm like, no, that's a nerd character.
You know this guy. Oh,
every self-respecting goth nerd went through a Lovecraft phase.
Absolutely. The gods at the end of the universe. Come on, that's so goth. It's so hardcore.
Yeah, that was highly influential in the creation of Bob.
Oh yes, Bob. And I love the name Bob. I don't know if we should just jump right into hanging out with Bob, but he was such a great addition. Like it really, I didn't ask any questions. As soon as he showed up, I was like, this makes sense. I love this guy. And then Jared being like, I need to give this guy a name because just thinking like this octopus tentacle creature isn't going to work. And then just what a great, brilliant way to showcase both his personality, but then the trickster personality being like, Bob. It's just so good.
The most popular addition to the sort of the trickster pantheon has been Chuck. I've had a lot of requests to Chuck is what other people call Sasquatches or Bigfoot, but the Heisler call him Bigwuss. Big wuss, big wuss. And he's like he's prevalent in all the stories up and down the coast. When you go into the interior, he's quite a mean guy and very into eating people.
As you do.
And on where I am, he was just they really like blondes. So if you were visiting his territory, you'd have to like be careful not to be out by yourself or you'd be kidnapped. But they like bivalves and blondes.
All right, so to know, right? Check your hair color. I mean, maybe your hairdresser when you can get an appointment.
We're two.
But Chuck in the story, he's very much not this scary guy.
No.
I loved him. Could you talk a little bit about how he wandered into the story and then how you brought him to life?
Well, back when I wrote Son of a Trickster, Dad was still with us, and he read it, and he said, "I like it," but there aren't any wild people of the woods in it, and that's just one of his favorite characters. He loves telling stories about the wild people of the woods, and he was like, that's okay. It's got, you've got tricksters right there. You couldn't have put in a couple of Sasquatches. So
that's such a parent thing.
Yeah.
Like it's good, but
Yeah. So by the time I had, Trickster, the Son of a Trickster came out, I'd already finished Trickster Drift. So it was too late to put it. So Chuck is a completely gratuitous addition to the third book, strictly there because Dad wanted Sasquatches.
Amazing. Well, I think you did him very proud. I'm sure he was so stoked, and then just to see how well Chuck fit in, like again, it's just like with Bob, didn't question it, not once, and then was sad that he wasn't in there more, and then he showed up at the end, and I was like, Chuck. And a Hugin, that's so funny. Like, I think I put the book down to laugh. Like, it was so wonderful.
Well, I think I had to make it clear that he was assimilated into human culture, but he didn't do the thing that, some other wild men of the woods did and, sneakily eat people. He was off the sauce, so to speak. So he has a history with the Trickster in my book. It's they've fallen in with each other. They're old friends, and when we met Jared's grandmother Anita, they were the fighty res couple.
Of course, I knew them right away. It was like every res, I'm sure every new person reading was like, I know this couple.
So whenever Wiget and Anita got into a fight, he'd go stay with Chuck. So that was his, rebound couch.
That's where he surfed. Yeah, I could see it. You can feel that with their relationship right away. Yeah. Oh,
yeah. So the biggest request for spin-off books has been, could you write about Chuck and Wiget in the 70s?
Can you? I need that. I need that book. It'd be so great. With like an accompanying soundtrack too. Oh my goodness, the playlist would be like out of this world.
It's like that's a lot of mushrooms and acid.
Oh,
no question.
I think I would be going back to the wet plot story. And just title the chapters by which breakup that is.
That's really good though. That could work. I can see it. I support this. You need my support, but it's
I was like, oh my God. Yeah, no, they've like when we were Dad and I went to Vancouver Island, and he loves big trees. Like it's just one of the, so we went to this place called Cathedral Grove near Port Alberni. And it was some of like the trees were just huge, and there was this big stump, like it was about 8 feet high, and he said, yeah, that's a Bogos that's hiding. Like that's how they would hide from people. They would turn themselves into stumps. And that stuck with me as one of those details that was eventually going to make it into a book.
Yeah, the little note that's like, oh, okay, save that for later.
Good detail.
Yeah. Like, oh, that's so good. Yeah.
So I could finally, so spoiler alert.
I know we should have started with that.
Oh yeah.
Spoilers all around.
I am the worst spoiler. Like when I was watching Game of Thrones with my cousins, if they hadn't gotten to an episode that I had watched, they would block me on Facebook. And then unblock me once they'd watched it. Hey, Terry Gallegos! Hey, 202. Yeah, I set when Jared goes to Vancouver in Trickster Drift, I set Aunt Maeve's apartment in Terry Gallegos' apartment on 1640 Gravely because I couch surfed with her a lot, so I knew it very well. Aw,
Amazing. So are there other places, well, we know that Vancouver and Kitimat are real places. So
yes.
how did you blend fictionalizing them and then also keeping them like in their real, what was that process like for you?
Well, I didn't mean to have a book set in Kitimat. This was going to be like a Vancouver book. My mom's family is Haldsuk, and I great Auntie Violet followed the cantering work down in the 70s. So, they stayed in like when they first got here, they stayed in hotels like the American, and they have all these stories. And my aunties were in the Red Power movement, and so there's like a rich texture to their Vancouver stories. And we would Greyhound down every summer from Kitimat, so it was a 22-hour bus ride.
Brutal.
It was a milk run, so it stopped at every
All the little towns. I've been on the Ottawa to home milk run, and
and you just wanted to avoid the seats near the bathroom.
yes, absolutely.
So I knew that that's actually where I started the series. In my head, it was the story started with Jared arriving in Vancouver on a Greyhound bus. And the places that I know in Vancouver really well are the places that I lived and the places that my mom's family lived. Because I found it hard to live in East Vancouver because, I had my great aunt, a couple of aunts, a couple of uncles, and about 40 cousins. So you can't really date privately.
Absolutely not. Just like the little red microcosm.
Yes. It's very East Vancouver. There is nowhere that I can go where someone isn't related to me.
I get it. I totally get it. Yeah.
So that's the experience I wanted Jared to have. So when I set the Vancouver scene, it was I knew all the alleys and it was just wonderful to be able to kind of hold it in my head. And for the third book, I thought they were going to be, moving away from Vancouver a bit, but it never got past Abbotsford. So, it's just places that I know really well. I know the sights, I know the sounds. There's a little gentrifying going on right now in East Vancouver, but it's still got that kind of that vibe, that working class vibe that worked really well in the story. And it's also kind of just kind of wonderful. It's where I spent every summer growing up. And I remember, God, I had a very brief job picking strawberries, and I had to take a bus out to the farm. Oh my God, that was a long ride, and I wasn't suited to picking strawberries at all. I get a careful little basket, and other people would have buckets.
Totally get that. Yeah.
Yeah, they don't fire a lot of people, but they let me go after a week.
Your berry skills are just not up to par.
No. my aunties had the same complaint. When they would take me berry picking, you daydreamed a lot. So, you'd be wandering around, and, you'd very carefully and tenderly pick each berry. And then you'd eat one, then you'd look up at the sky. And, yeah. And it's you got a perfect little bucket, and everyone else had totes.
I don't think I've ever seen a full container of berries when I've gone berry picking. I've always had my little margarine, of course, container, never full. I just always saw the bottom. So I can relate. Always just yeah, can relate.
Yeah, we've got blueberries and huckleberries on the point, and that's where we used to run and pick for when we got hungry after swimming.
Mhm.
And I fondly remember them, but I was never really good at it. And yeah,
Mhm.
poor dad, he had an amazing sense of direction, and he couldn't understand how I couldn't understand which way I was facing. No, you're looking north. How do you know that?
Do you just feel it? How do you?
Oh, well, he was a trapper and a fisherman and
Mhm.
a logger. So, he loved being outside. And he got 3 kids that were house cats. So, like, my brother's really into computers. I'm a writer, and my sister's in TV and film. So,
So you're all inside.
yeah. But he'd still drag us to the channel, like on the weekends. And at that time, I didn't really appreciate it. But now it's like, oh, you know, now they're my fondest memories.
Mhm. And you
But
can
back,
write about them and stretch your
yes.
skills and be like, look, Dad, it was not all for naught.
Yeah, I think there's hope that my nephew might be outdoorsy, but my niece loves to hike. But yeah, it's like, oh, look, a tree.
In my backyard. That's what I need, right?
Just gonna look at it through the window.
Exactly. I feel that. I'm the same. I mean, right, but then I'm also like a huge dork, so all I'm doing is watching TV and playing video games. Like me and Crash Pad would probably have been pretty good friends. Like anytime Jared was like, yeah, whatever, I don't really want to watch. Oh, or me and Dent especially, would have had great times watching Doctor Who. But the something I found really interesting about Jared is that he seems to like really push away the supernatural, even in the media that he consumes. And he's even like, no, I don't want to watch that sci-fi stuff, like you weirdo.
He's an intensely practical soul. Like
Absolutely, who has no
he's
choice.
no, he's really the last person who should be a trickster. But and I was gonna go to like a 4th book, but I think Jared was pretty well done by then. He's like, yeah,
He was
no.
like, no more, please.
Well, a lot happened in the 3rd book. I think I'm finally getting plot. I was always more focused on like the character's world and
Mhm.
just exploring what the different way they bounced off each other. And then in the
Mhm.
3rd book, it's like, oh, it's consequences. You do something and something happens,
Yeah,
and that.
apparently.
I was like, oh, okay. Oh, that makes sense. And yeah, so for this one, there are moments when, uh, like for all the books that I've written up to this point, I've been in a singular viewpoint, like either first person or third person limited.
Mhm. Mhm.
So this was my first baby step into multiple narrators. It was a lot of fun. I can
Yeah,
see why people do it.
and you killed it. It was so good. Every
Oh,
single one.
thank
I was
you.
absolutely believing it and was so excited to get into their viewpoint. And I love and using second person. That's so scary.
Well, I think Porn Rune second person.
I get
Like, it's used for recipes and instructions and porn. So, and it's really hard to like. I remember playing with it in Bloodsports, and it's hard to yeah, it's a really strange viewpoint, but it worked in little chunks. I was trying to do them all in third person, and it wasn't distinct enough. In the so we played with the tenses, we played with, and then it once it hit present second person, it just snapped into place, and all the characters' voices, like they were already there, so it was just refining and moving some things aside. I was really excited. It was yeah. I don't think I could write a whole novel from Maggie's point of view.
That would,
That
I
would
don't
be
know
an-
what to think. Yeah.
yeah, that would be a really intense book. Yeah, but she was a lot, like her voice, like once it came through, it was distinctive, and there were ways that she would say things.
Yeah, that just are natural and just distinctly Maggie. Like no matter what,
Yeah.
where she is, who she is, and what she's gonna say to you.
And yeah, I was like, oh, this is why people do multiple narrators, because you can play the their experiences off each other, and someone can know something and the other person can know something, and they don't know the same thing, but the reader does. So it's a wonderful dynamic.
Definitely. And I think it made so much sense for it to really come to light in the final book, as we're getting to see Jared accept who he is and what he can do. Even if he's not doing it well, he's trying. But it made sense that all of a sudden we can get more. And it was just fantastic. I mean, I could gush like the entire time about how good this is.
He's definitely going to be a peacemaker, and I think that will annoy a lot of people because, that's what he does.
Right, yeah, and I think there's something so human about how he how he interacts as his trickster self, or as with other characters, and it's this humanness, this humanity that seems to really define him as a trickster and really separate him from Wiegand.
Yes.
Yeah.
And they just completely drive each other nuts, which I think is a common father-son reaction. Yeah, the way Jared approaches the world and the way Wiegand approach the world, like they're opposite, but they're also, Wiegand feels a lot, but he tries to hide it, and Jared just doesn't hide anything. But the baby memory that came out, that was a surprise. Like I just needed like a little scene to show that Wiegand had known him Wiegand had known Jared since he was a baby. And as I was writing it, they started interacting, and most of my other novels have been evening novels, and some of the Trickster series was all morning novels, and I think the first one was I wrote between 4 a.m. and 5 a.m. every morning for a year, and the second one I took a break and wrote from 8 a.m. to 9 a.m. So that seems to be about the magic hour when I have a lot of energy, but my inner editor isn't awake yet. So I don't have that persistent voice in the back of my head saying, oh, that's ridiculous. No one's going to believe that. 8 a.m. seems to be the sweet spot.
Right. So you don't have that second guessing and judging yourself.
Yes.
It can be really hard, I think, as a writer, at every single stage to sort of believe in your craft, and find that confident little zone where you can just let it flow. I heard that you started getting into writing because you kind of wrote a little bit of fan fiction.
I did.
Yeah.
Well, I came from a family of readers, so there were always books around, there was articles, there was magazines. But I didn't really, but I was hell-bent on being an astronaut. So,
I mean, same. I feel like we have so much to talk about.
but then I found out you had to be 5'3" to go up in the Soyuz capsules. And, I just wasn't. So I was heartbroken all through grade 10. And then in watching a lot of horror, I was going through a Stephen King and Cronenberg phase. So one of my favorite Cronenberg movie was Scanners. And I wrote a fan fiction for an English class that the teacher read out to the students, and they really liked it. And, up to that point, I'd been in the math club, the astronomy club, the chess club. And no one had ever considered me cool before. So, like, it was full of teenagers who can explode your head with their thoughts, and it was a lot of exploding heads. So, so my very first short stories were exploding head stories.
Hey, and then it carries over. It's paid off because Mandy pulls this off too, right? So I think you paid homage to that, your origin story.
I'll sell it as an homage. It was, yeah. So I started writing essays in an essay class that was a university prep course, and short stories in my English class, and the two sort of combined. And yeah, it was a lot of short stories with yeah.
I mean, I can totally relate because I started writing because I was writing fan fiction too. So it was so exciting to hear that that's how you really pushed yourself into or fell into it as well. Because people tend to dismiss fan fiction, but I think it can really, it's like a little mentorship.
It
in its
really
way.
is. It really is. And when you're passionate about something, like, if there are people watching this who really love Chuck and Wicket, I highly encourage you to write fan fiction.
And link me, I want to read it too.
Because, like the first novels can be overwhelming. Like when you say, I'm going to write a novel. I remember when I was writing Monkey Beach, like it was such a steep learning curve. There was just, there were so many working parts to the engine that it was, if you tugged on one, it affected all these other ones. And yeah, I remember not really understanding what my editors were talking about with structure. So I just pulled apart one of my friend's books that was similar to mine and stole her structure.
Amazing.
And now that I have a better handle on like the way a novel should move, I just look back on it and go, yeah, it's like, that moment before you can understand fractions. Like,
Right.
yeah, I vividly remember when I got it, and I was the last person in class to understand how you worked with fractions. And I got it in the middle of my test. And
Like, not ideal, but still kind of, at least now.
But I couldn't say anything. Otherwise, I'd have to admit that I've been, cheating. But once I got it, it was just like, it was like a brain burst, and then I could make all these different connections. So that's the same thing that happened to me with structuring a novel. And then I think the next blood sports was like where I finally learned how to tackle like a lot of the elements that I'd been playing with. Like I finally got them. It was just an explosion of so I think with the Trickster trilogy, just the sheer mass of information has made me respect writers who do series. I have no idea how they do it. It was a lot. It was a lot of post-its everywhere. It was a lot of like it was a lot of trying to remember all the different elements, and then in in the final novel having to let go of a lot of subplots, and
Right.
that was really hard. But once I could see like the narrative drive and how the subplots didn't work to move it forward, um, I was killing my darlings. I spent so much time on all these subplots, and they were good stories, but they didn't go anywhere, and they didn't reveal anything new. And it was like, oh, I get that now.
Like, oh, this is why we edit.
Oh, now I see what my editors have been trying to tell me.
I will begrudgingly admit it.
Like, yeah, so there was a lot of there was a lot of movement in the skill level. I've been working with multiple narrators because before I started writing the Trickster series, I was writing a trashy band council romance, and that and what was bogging me down was that I didn't have the skill yet to handle multiple narrators, so it just exploded everywhere. Like the two mains that are having the affair are the environmental manager who used to work for the AFN, became disillusioned with the politics, decided to move home to help his community, but his wife didn't want to leave Ottawa, so they separated and then divorced. She's dating a guy on one of the Ottawa Senator farm teams, and his kids love hockey, so they've kind of accepted him as their dad. And they're a little starstruck. So the environmental manager has been carrying a torch for the housing manager since high school. She's married to the chief operating officer, and his brother is the chief counselor. So we're starting off in an election year.
I want this.
Let's see. So the environmental manager's brother has a gambling addiction. And the housing manager's brother is living with their parents and has started to grow up in their basement. So there's a lot of scenes where it's like trying to manage the different all the different characters from one point of view like I normally do was not working. It just wasn't working. So but the second I unleashed multiple narrators, the grants coming in, and second cousin who saw the coup park in the driveway of the housing manager's cousin.
Coming back from Tim Hortons, like, yeah.
Stayed all night. Took pictures.
Yeah. With their Samsung.
So the book opens with the housing manager has suspected one of the counselors of stealing her lunch. So she's been putting in bait lunches to the workroom fridge, and on that day of the big housing meeting, she steals one of her daughter's pot brownies and puts it in the bait lunch. So she's just expecting her to be like really stoned, but she falls to the ground. She's throwing up. She's sweating. So one of the young men is training to be a paramedic, and he's so excited because he has a naloxone kit.
Like, this is my moment.
Chapter 1. So it just, it just kind of exploded from there. And I was so frustrated trying to wrangle all the characters. So I've been reading a lot of novels where there's multiple narrators. Like there has 12, The Break has 11, Five Libyans has 5. So just watching like the taking it apart. I'm just not a tidy writer. So when I take things apart, I literally take them apart. So I photocopy the entire book and then break it down into chapters and then into scenes and then spread it all out over the apartment. And then just follow the threads and
Follow
see
the thread. Yeah.
which techniques they're using, like how do they manage so many different narrators. Like sometimes they don't change, like some writers don't change the voice, they just make it clear through what they're thinking who it is. And other writers change the voice entirely so that each voice is distinctive. And sometimes they have like a tentpole event that structures the book. Like The Break has the event at The Break, but because it's so horrific, she does this amazing thing where each character gives you just a little bit more, and then the next character gives you just a little bit more, and so you don't get the whole event all at once. So it would be an intense and overwhelming scene if she did it that way. But it created this like amazing tension throughout the book. And there again, he did like a tentpole construction where it was they're all going to end up in this powwow when someone has a gun. And even though like some of the scenes may be slow, so I was going, well, how would that work for a trashy Penniless romance? And some of those techniques are what I used in Return of the Trickster. But oh my goodness. Okay, we went really fast.
Yeah. There is a Q&A question we have here from Facebook. I should mention too to all of the listeners who are tuned in, watching all these things, that there is a Q&A section. So please, if you have questions, type them in and we'll try to get to them if we don't go too off course, because it just happens that way.
I didn't even get to my clam puppets.
Okay, so we're getting actual questions out. Woohoo! All right,
okay.
Let's see. We have one from Alyssa Curry on Facebook. She says, "Big fan. Eden just finished reading the book last night and loved it. Are there any characters from this trilogy that you see yourself revisiting in future works?"
Well, I cut a lot from Hank and Nika. Like they had a whole thing going on with Sarah, where when Jared went missing, they were looking for him, and like there's like a scene in the booze can I'd really like to explore. And again, like there have been a lot of requests for Chuck. Chuck needs to live somewhere. Chuck needs to have his own book or something. Right now, I'm just gonna take a break and deal with some health issues that I've been putting off. Man, the 50s.
And in a pandemic, like, come on. I think you've earned your break.
Oh my God, I just want to travel. It's, I want to go to Vancouver Island and see like a bunch of family, and go to Vancouver, and like my sister lives in Brantford. Yeah, so it's like.
Have you found that the being in like such a small space or confined space has changed how you write or how you approach writing?
When I was writing Return of the Trickster, nothing bothered me. Like, pandemic, groceries once a week, that's fine. But now that I don't have a book, it's a lot of time. So I've discovered podcasts and audiobooks. So it's wonderful to be able to do like the chores that I don't like doing, because my mind is engaged in the story that's being told to me. So it makes like things like cleaning behind the stove bearable.
Yes. Absolutely.
So like I'm at the place where everybody was at the beginning of the pandemic. Like I'm a complete introvert. So it didn't bother me at all to be by myself for many, many days. But a year into the pandemic, I'm starting to feel it now. and my family and friends are all over it and they've moved on to the next stage. But I'm like,
like, wait, I'm behind.
Well, they're mocking me for how smug I used to be. Oh, I'm fine.
Yeah. Rude. How rude.
As cousins do.
Of course, that's how they show you their love. If you're not being made fun of, does your family love you?
This is a question that will never be answered.
No.
Well, your earrings are amazing.
Oh, thank you. They're from Etsy, from Kay Francis Beadwork. Shout out. She's fantastic.
Nice.
I know. And they're really light, which is really cool. You know how they're not super heavy. So highly recommend.
They're just gorgeous. I love earrings, and I've had to, it's one of the best things about like Facebook.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Like the Indigenous marketplace is so good.
Yep. I'm on the cedar weaving and the traditional beading and it's like, ooh, it's like all the res bling.
Oh my goodness. I know. Like I have to slow myself down because I'm going to have a ridiculous amount of things. And I mean, in the pandemic, shopping has brought me joy. So I have so much more stuff.
Oh, yeah. No, well, I don't actually have like a lot of physical talents. Like I can't bead, I can't make drums. Like all my weaving turns into coasters. But I absolutely, I know, once you know how much love and work goes into something, it's hard not to just, stare in amazement.
Yeah, and like scoop it all up.
Yeah, clam puppets. Oh, well, I was trying to pitch a children's book to the Haisla Language Authority. Before it was known as the Haisla Language Authority, I forgot what it was. But in the beginning of the world was on fire, and all the animals were trying to put out the fire, and they were being really showy about it, and nothing was working. So the chief of the clam clans got all his people together, and then he got all the other clams in the world together, and they had a long conversation about what they should do, and they all spat at the same time and put the fire out. So I've always wanted to write a libretto. So it was like actual clamshells for the face with googly eyes and a gray wool sock and like little blankets. And they were singing.
Alice in Wonderland.
Yeah.
And like...
So the reaction was like, wow. Wow. We like your idea about the Haisla astronomers.
Like, but the clams, they could
But
have
the
little squirt guns,
clams!
like a little. I can see it.
Butte! No, qua Eden.
It'd be so good. I'm sure there's some
Eden.
composers out there who would like join in. I mean, I have a degree in music. I'll help. Absolutely.
Oh yeah, no, yeah. They really do like the. Well, Dad loved the Duhotla, the Heisla astronomers. So right now I'm just transcribing. So
Mhm.
Uncle Gordon was talking to my cousin Bet in one of the traditional youth studies, and he goes on for about like um, a solid 4 tapes. So it's
Wow.
weird. It's weird listening to his voice
Mhm.
and her voice, and then I have the notes and the pictures that Dad gave me. And like there's a calendar stone that used to be down the beach that was carved with petroglyphs.
Mhm.
Are petroglyphs the ones that are carved? Yeah, there's one that's
Anybody in
carved.
the Q&A can answer this?
Yeah, there's one that's carved and there's one that's
Mhm.
painted. They were
That's
carved,
complicated.
and there's
Mhm.
6 mountains that form the Heisla calendar.
Mhm.
So on December 21st, it starts on this mountain that used to
Mhm.
have a tree right here and a shaman's cave underneath. And when it touched there, that was the, if it came down on one side of the tree, it was going to be a warm spring. Came down the other, it was going to be miserable. On the tree, it was going to be normal.
Mhm.
So each of the 6 mountains had different points. And on the carved rock, there was a sun, and each of the rays pointed to one of those points. So the different clans had their own duhala, and they would gather at the calendar rock at significant times and argue about what it meant and where it was. My great grandfather, who built the supply store, built it near the calendar rock. So in the winter, because he was a duhala, so in the winter, the duhala wouldn't have to go outside. He built a window in the back. So my dad remembers them arguing about
Mhm.
what it meant. So because of the pandemic, like I can't talk to the people who still are duhala because
Mhm.
they're all elders.
Mhm.
So it's it is what it is. We're just going to transcribe and rough something out, and then do some interviews.
Mhm.
Yeah.
There's so many ways that I'm seeing a lot of our relations across the country sort of like innovating and bringing that connection, even though we can't be in person. So I think
Yes.
that innovation is so important, and I'm glad you mentioned like being able to at least listen and transcribe and keep
Yes.
that connection going in spite of the barriers that we have to face. Yeah.
Yeah. Our council just got like a bunch of elders some iPads. So, my mom, it's the first time she's been FaceTiming. And I didn't realize how lonely she was until we started FaceTiming the aunties. And yeah, so now she's a big fan of iPads.
Amazing.
Yay!
Good for her for learning the technology too. It's not easy for our elders.
No.
Mhm.
Well, I had to set up like some Apple things, and I haven't used like Apple products in years, so it was like, oh, this is very different.
Things have changed. Oh my goodness.
Well, for what my teenage consultants for the Trickster series were just disgusted that Jared was on Facebook. And I was trying to explain it was 2014 and we were all on Facebook back then.
Exactly. That
Yeah,
was the
and
place to
that,
be.
they're going, nope, nope, that, that signals like, kind of, kiss ass, no one cool is on Facebook anymore. So they were trying to explain Snapchat to me. And I felt very much the way Mom feels about her iPad. It's like,
Yeah.
I don't know what you're doing. Why are you filming us? There's no one there.
What's the point? Who are you talking to?
Is that us? Oh my God, that's so invasive. Is that all your friends? That's so invasive. Like, that's like stalking.
Right.
I was like, okay, we're not including Snapchat in any of this. I don't understand it. We'll just have people mock him for being uncool.
There you go. I think that's fine.
I finally saw
Oh, go ahead.
Oh, I finally saw the Q&A button.
I know it's like hidden down there, right? But we do have some answers. People came in and told us pictographs are painted. So there you go. Thank you for that.
Oh, nice.
Nice.
So it is petroglyphs that are carved. I always get those confused, and like when it's stalagmites,
and stalag or whatever.
Yes, I always get those ones confused. It's like, not that I write a lot of cave stories, but yeah, I was reading about magnetars and trying to explain to Mom that they, what kind of neutron star they were, and she was like, "How is this useful in any way, shape, or form?"
I totally get it. I'm that person in my family. Like, I just read about black holes recently and was trying to talk about them. Yeah, it's called Death or Black Hole Survival Guide by Jan Levin. Super great. There's also beautiful illustrations. Recommend.
I just saw that in Misty River Books.
Yeah, and it's really cute too. It's like this big.
It's tiny, and it's got matte black and then a shiny black.
Shiny?
Yes.
I feel like we need a whole other hour to talk about all our stars.
I follow like Andrew Petrov, and What the Math, and Dr. Becky. And he was describing like the black hole swarms and globular clusters, and I was it's just we're in a golden age of like astronomical information. It's just like every single day there's something new.
Oh yeah, so cool. And that does make its way into the Trickster trilogy, right? So there we go. I'm circling back. We're going back to it.
Yay! And this is why I don't oral story tell. Oh yeah, I read this thing about meringue. What does that have to do with the story? Nothing. I just remembered it right now.
Yeah.
So I'm going to tell you about meringue for the next 10 minutes, and then I'll get back to the story. Oh, which subplot today? Justice, like one of the characters named Justice, had a very a very lovely subplot with her grandfather, and it didn't do anything for the narrative drive, and it required so much explanation that it couldn't stay. I was really sad about that, because like the only thing that survived was the firefly in the room divider. There was like backstories, and it's like, okay, it's not necessary for the plot, so meh.
Sad to lose it, but still, at least you got to experience it.
Yeah.
Here's my moral of the story. I'm trying.
It lives somewhere.
So we are at 8:30, but I'd like to finish with a few little rapid fire questions for you. Okay. So if you had to pick a favorite of the three in the trilogy, what was your favorite to write?
I wrote the first and second one at the same time, actually, because just because I didn't realize I was writing 2 books. So it was so wild. And I didn't actually expect anyone to read it.
Joke's on you. Like everyone did.
Like there was no pressure whatsoever. It was,
Mhm.
and it was so early in the morning. It was such a giddy experience.
Wow, that's great. So, that's my other one I really wanted to know. So, who from the books would you want to spend the day with, and what would you do?
Oh, Chuck, of course.
Naturally.
Yeah, I just like to hear what, all the things that he wants to say. Like, he's got so much backstory on, all the supernatural characters around. I would just love to sit there and gossip.
Right, absolutely. And why does Jared like Nickelback?
Jared loves Nickelback because they speak to him. It's one of the bands he goes to, and he breaks up with someone, and
Right.
so it's his breakup band. It's
Yeah.
kind of like yeah. Well, he's relentlessly mocked for it.
He's okay with that, right?
He's
Like
okay with that. Yeah,
accept
he's not bothered by it. So it's like,
Mhm.
yeah, you love what you love.
Exactly. Unabashedly, and good for him.
But I didn't expect them to come back in the second book.
Right, yeah, they hung on.
They hung on.
Mhm.
Yeah,
And
they
it's great. I
they
mean, it
got a
makes sense.
mention. They got a mention in the third, but Baby Shark
Yep.
came through strong.
For the longest time, I was singing Cthulhu, like, oh, yeah, that's my new go-to.
Bad musicals with Eden Robinson.
This one, then the clams. I mean, I'm all for it. Go for it.
Oh, well, when I was, well, when I was first learning Haisla, I have trouble remembering different languages, so I would sing them. And me and Dad used to, every Sunday we'd go to the to the Mount Layton Hot Springs. And they're outside, and in the winter they'd steam. So I'd be bouncing around the pool singing Haisla words.
It's a great technique. I think as an educator, I can speak to the truth in that. So you were innovating.
I remember all those words. Dad would be just sort of going, yeah, look at the swallows. La la la.
Like, there she goes again.
Côte la du Gras.
I think all of that means you got to write that opera. Right?
Yeah,
Everything's
yeah.
coming together. Like, no.
Oh, it's snowing here even harder. Like, I'm just looking at it going, yeah, okay. We're doing that. I'm going to bake some cornbread after.
Well, that sounds like an amazing way to wrap things up. I hope you have a great cornbread baking session. And thank you so much for chatting with me. It was an absolute delight.
Oh, thank you.
You're
Thank
amazing.
You. Oh, and you're an amazing host. Mwah. Thank you.
Thank you. So thank you to the Ottawa Public Library and to the Ottawa International Writers Festival for getting this all together. It is recorded, and you'll be able to catch it on the Ottawa Public Library's Facebook page after the event. It will also appear on their YouTube in a couple of weeks with captions. Sorry to the person who has to write those out. Intense laughter. Yeah, be like, like,
Maybe I should
Yeah.
send the spellings for some things.
yeah, exactly. Oh, amazing.
Cthulhu, doo, doo.